Sergeant, ring the quorum bell.
Well, the prayer has been said and the chair taken. However, as indicated, is that the House has not quorated yet for it to be able to commence its business. This is regards to the House Standing Order number 34, paragraph 1, that provides for the right quorum at the commencement of the House. At least 50 members should be seated inside the chamber for the House to be deemed to have quorated. If that is not present, then that quorum bell will be on for the members who may be within the precincts of Parliament but yet to get to the chambers to at least hasten their steps and join their colleagues inside the chambers to allow the House raise that much needed quorum for the business to commence. However, as we can see, members have just walked in a large number, and we believe that as they join the rest, then the quorum will be achieved in no time for the House to commence. That is the Sergeant at Arms raising a white paper, as is the tradition, just to indicate to the clerk and the speaker that the quorum has been attained for the House to commence its business. So allow me to hand you over to this live proceedings. Good afternoon.
Honorable members, we now have quorum, I believe, to transact business. Clerk.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, you recall last week we honored our hero novelist, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, and I promised to give you time to eulogize today. So we will, after order number 11, because these are just putting questions, allow the majority leader to lead the House in the eulogy. It will be allocated 30 minutes. So immediately after order number 11, majority leader and all members who want to eulogize will give you 30 minutes to do so. Honorable members, allow me to recognize in the speaker's row members from the Parliament of Ghana. I wish to introduce to you a delegation comprising members of ad hoc committee on pension scheme for members of Parliament and the Parliamentary Select Committee on Employment, Labor Relations and Pensions from the Parliament of Ghana seated in the speaker's row. They are 1, Honorable Joseph Appiah Boateng, Chairman, Parliamentary Select Committee. Head of Delegation, Honorable Mavis Nkasa Boadu, Member of the Select Committee, Honorable Haruna Mohammed, Member of the Committee, Honorable Dr. Abdul Kabiru Tia Mahama, Member of the Committee, Honorable Yao Frimpong Ado, Member of the Committee. They are accompanied by an assistant clerk to the committee and 2 technical officers from the National Pensions Regulatory Authority of Ghana. Honorable members, the delegation is in the country on a benchmarking visit to gain insights in the nature and operations of the pension fund for members of parliament, as well as the regulatory framework governing parliamentary pensions. Honorable members, on my behalf and that of the National Assembly, I welcome them to Parliament and wish them fruitful engagements during their stay in the country. I thank you, and as they say in Ghana, Agwaba. Next.
Order number 3, messages.
Honorable members at the bar, take the nearest seats. Thiong'o, where is your nearest seat? Honorable members, I have a message from the Senate on the passage of the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bill number 10 of 2025. Honorable members, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 41-4, relating to messages from the Senate, I wish to report to the House that I received a message from the Senate dated 29th May 2025 regarding the passage of the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bill, number 10 of 2025. The message conveys that on Wednesday, 28th May 2025, the Senate considered and passed the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bill, number 10 of 2025, order with amendments. The Senate has now referred the bill back to the National Assembly for reconsideration in accordance with the provisions of Article 112(1)(b) of the Constitution. Honourable members, you will recall that on Wednesday, 9th April 2025, this House considered and passed the said bill without amendments, following which I referred the bill to the Senate for consideration in accordance with the provisions of Article 110(4) of the Constitution. In this regard, the House is required to consider the Senate amendments to the bill. Honourable members, you will agree with me that the passage of the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill 2025 is central to unlocking the consideration of other business related to the budget for the year 25-26, particularly the consideration of the Appropriation Bill 2025 and the Counter Allocation of Revenue Bill 2025. In this regard, and so as to facilitate the expedited consideration of the Senate amendments to the said bill by this House, I directed the clerk to schedule the bill in the order paper for this sitting. Indeed, as you may have noticed in today's order paper, the motion for consideration of Senate amendments to the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bill number 10 of 2025, and the Committee of the Whole House on the Senate amendments have been listed as order numbers 12 and 13, respectively. Additionally, I instructed the clerk to publish the Senate amendments to the bill in the order paper. Honourable members, in view of the foregoing, I urge the House to dispense with the Senate amendments to the Division of Revenue Bill 2025 in today's sitting. I also hasten to restate that the conclusion of the said bill will pave the way for the consideration of the Counter Allocation of Revenue Bill 2025 with the prescribed timelines so as to facilitate timely disbursement of the requisite funds to our county governments. It will also enable finalization of the allocation of revenues raised nationally for the national government through the Appropriation Bill 2025 following consideration of the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the annual estimates for the year 2025-26 financial year. The House is accordingly guided. I thank you. Next.
Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. A. Annual report of the Kenya Law Reform Commission for the financial year 2023-2024. Annual report of activities and financial statements of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission for the financial year 2023-2024. First half report of the County Government Budget Implementation Review for the financial year 2024-2025. D. Annual report of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights for the financial year 2023-2024. E. Annual report and financial statements of Privatization Commission for the year ended 30th June 2024. F. Quarterly report of economic and budgetary review of the National Treasury and Economic Planning third quarter of the financial year 2024-2025. G. The 2025 Economic Survey Report from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. H. Reports of the Auditor General Financial Statements for the years ended 30th June 2023 and 30th June 2024, and certificates therein in respect of the following: Aldai Technical Training Institute, Kipsoen Technical and Vocational College, Masai Technical Training Institute, Masinga Technical and Vocational College. 5. Mochongoi Technical and Vocational College. 6. Molo Technical and Vocational College. 7. Ngong Technical and Vocational College. 8. Nu Technical and Vocational College. 9. Tarbaj Technical and Vocational College. And lastly, 10. Wajir East Technical and Vocational College. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I beg to lay.
Thank you. Chairman, Budget and Appropriations Committee, that will be stayed. The report has not been presented to the Speaker for approval yet. Chairman, Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs. Murugara.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 3rd June 2025. Report of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs on its consideration of the report on the approval hearings of nominees for appointment as chairperson and members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Murugara.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion. That taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs in its report on the vetting of nominees for appointment as chairperson and members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, laid on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 3rd June 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 252B of the Constitution, approves the appointment of Mr. Erastus Edung Ethekon as the chairperson and Ms. Anne Jerry Nderito, Mr. Moses Alutalala Muhwana, Ms. Karen Sorobet, Mary Karen Sorobet, Mr. Hassan Nur Hassan, Mr. Francis Ofiambo Aduol, and Ms. Fahima Arafat Abdallah as members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Murugara. Honorable members, allow me to acknowledge in the Speaker's gallery, Chebonei Girls High School from Bomet Central, Bomet. In the public gallery, Oshol Academy from Nyali, Mombasa, Kigumo Bendera from Kigumo, Muranga, Sirwa Aulo Junior School from Kilgoris, Narok, Thua Secondary School from Kitui East, Kitui County. On my behalf and on behalf of the House, we welcome all the students, their teachers, and those accompanying them to the House of Parliament. Honorable members, I will rearrange the order on the order paper as follows. Having done notices of motion, we'll go to orders number 8, 9, 10, and 11 to put questions. Thereafter, we'll spend 30 minutes on the eulogy and paying respect to the late Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Thereafter, we'll come back to questions and statements. There are quite a number of statements. Then at order number 12, if the House is not in agreement with the Senate on the amendments on the division of revenue, then order number 13 will not be considered, will be required to immediately constitute committees for mediation. So clerk, call out order number 8 onwards.
Order number 8, motion, report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the President's reservations to the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2023, question to be put.
Members on their feet, take your seats. Honorable members, I now put the question at order number 8, which is that this House do agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the President's reservations, the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2023. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next.
Order number 9, motion, report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the President's reservations to the Anti-Money Laundering and Combating of Terrorism Financing Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 5 of 2025, question to be put.
Order, Mama Mombasa, take your seat. Stop swagging. Honorable members, I didn't know Honorable Zamzam can. Honorable members, I now put the question at order number 9, which is that this House do agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the President's memorandum, President's reservation to the Anti-Money Laundering and Combating of Terrorism Financing Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 5 of 2025. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. For the nays to have it, you must have 233 members. Obviously, the voices I've heard are hardly 15, so the ayes have it.
Order number 10, motion, third report on consideration of the audited accounts of specified corporations. Question to be put.
Order, Honorable Member for Naivasha, take the nearest seat. Like, keep your note the same. Honorable members, I now put the question at order number 10, which is that this House adopts the third report of the Public Investments Committee on Social Services Administration and Agriculture on its consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the following state corporations laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 30th July 2024. Kenyatta National Hospital, financial year 2018-2019 and 2019-2020. Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, financial year 2017-2018, 2018-2019. Kenya Veterinary Board, financial year 2018-2019, 2019-2020, 2020-2021. National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse, financial year 2017-2018, 2018-2019, 2019-2020, and 2020-2021. And the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, financial year 2000-2001, 2001-2002, 2002-2003, 2003-2004, 2004-2005, 2005-2006, 2006-2007, 2007-2008, 2008-2009, 2009-2010, 2010-2011, 2011-2012, and 2012-2013. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next.
Order number 11, motion, consideration of sessional paper number 7 of 2024 on the National Sanitation Management Policy. Question to be put.
Members on their feet, take the nearest seats. Honorable members, I'll now put the question at order number 11, which is that this House adopts the report of the Departmental Committee on Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation on its consideration of sessional paper number 7 of 2024 on the National Sanitation Management Policy laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 17th April 2025, and approved sessional paper number 7 of 2024 on the National Sanitation Management Policy, subject to the revisions as contained in the schedule to the report. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I think we can also dispose of order number 12. Clerk.
Order number 12, motion, consideration of Senate amendments to the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bill number 10 of 2025.
Is the chairman budget in the House? Leader of majority will. Majority.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Senate amendments to the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bill number 10 of 2025 be now considered. Honorable Speaker, just brief to members that this Division of Revenue Bill, as approved by the House, had about 405 billion shillings. But the other House has since amended that and proposed that we increase that to about 465 billion. That is 60 billion shillings above what is agreed. And bearing in mind the fiscal space that we have, Honorable Speaker, it may not be practical to increase by 60 billion shillings. I hear the member for Bumula saying we should be reducing, not increasing. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, having considered that, we thought it's only fair that we reject these amendments by the Senate to allow us to go into early mediation, and therefore beg to move the House to reject in totality this proposal by the Senate. And I therefore beg to move and request the Honorable Wamboka to second.
Honorable Speaker, we want to reject in total.
Start by saying I beg to second.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to second. Bearing in mind the space the country is operating in, the fiscal space, it is only abnormal for anyone to think we should be increasing these monies upwards. So in that, on this thing, Honorable Speaker, I beg to reject as I second Honorable Ichung'wa. We reject it and put the question, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that the Senate amendments to the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bill number 10 of 2025 be now considered. I put the question. Honorable members, I now put the question at order number 12, which is that the Senate amendments to the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bill number 10 of 2025 be now considered. As members of that opinion say aye. As members of the contrary opinion say nay. Nay. The nays have it. Honorable members, that vote invalidates the presence of order number 13 on the order paper. So order number 13 is now struck out from the order paper. Honorable members, now it's time I'll give the House 30 minutes or so to pay tribute to one of the greatest sons of this country in the literary world, the late Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o, whose books yours truly here has read each and every one of them. And I hope each one of you has done the same. Except those written in Kikuyu language. I've read all those written in English. I now invite the Majority Leader to lead the House, and I suggest members that we give the Majority Leader 5 minutes and the rest who will speak 2 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, thank you for this opportunity to pay tribute, as you say, to one of the greatest sons of our nation, and also a great son of my county, Kiambu, and notably also an old boy of the school. And when I speak about the school, it's a school that he attended in the year 1955 to about 1959 before he joined Makerere University. And Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Tiende Amolo, also understands the school I'm speaking about is not Miranda High School. It is the Alliance High School. And Honorable Speaker, I was saying before he went to Makerere University, where he started his writing career and did exemplary well, writing his first 2 novels in English, the first novel, Honorable Speaker, being The Weep Not Child, that he published in the year 1964. Honorable Speaker, also notable, this is around the time that we are becoming a republic. And he had graduated from university in 1963 when this country was gaining independence. And also, Honorable Speaker, it's notable to note that the Honorable Ngugi wa Thiong'o says in his writings and recalls how his village in Limuru in Kamiredo, where he was born, was raised down by the colonial masters. And probably this is what provoked him when he went to Alliance High School. And after his first semester or his first term in school, he went back home and found the entire village raised down to the ground. And I was saying probably this is what provoked him to even later in life, around 1967 to 1970, to drop the name James Ngugi and adopt his names as we know them today as Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Honorable Speaker, as we pay tribute to this great man, a writer who has not only taught literature and English language in many universities here in Africa, beginning with his alma mater, Makerere University, and also came back home to teach at the University of Nairobi before he was imprisoned. He's also taught great universities, Ivy League universities like Yale University, Honorable Speaker, in the US, where he has taught. Northwestern University also, he has been a guest lecturer there. And he has therefore contributed immensely, not just to the growth of literature, but also to the growth of African languages, Honorable Speaker. But this is not to say, Honorable Speaker, and I heard you say you have read all his novels, except those like Gahi Kadeda, I Will Marry When I Want, that he wrote in Kikuyu, or Shaitani Modara Vaine, which says it's Devil on the Cross. But I think the Devil on the Cross was later translated into English. And therefore, you may have had the opportunity to read these novels, Honorable Speaker. But I'm saying this because Ngugi wa Thiong'o dropped his English name, adopted his Kikuyu names, dropped the name James for Ngugi wa Thiong'o, and also began to write in the Gikuyu language. Not because he was a tribalist, Honorable Speaker, because Ngugi wa Thiong'o was such a nationalist that when he was imprisoned here for a year, sent into detention by the past regimes, Honorable Speaker, in the 70s, he was imprisoned with many other political prisoners who were not necessarily of the Kikuyu descent. And he lived on to fight for justice, equality in the country of Kenya, irrespective of where you came from, Honorable Speaker. And the fact that he has not only taught students from across the world, from different backgrounds, Honorable Speaker, but even his associations, Honorable Speaker, in the literary world, speaks volumes of the man that Ngugi wa Thiong'o was, that he was never at any point in time in his life. He valued his ancestry, he valued his background as a Kikuyu from Limuru, but he never allowed that to be anything to use to lord over others, Honorable Speaker, or even to believe that there was one community that was greater than the other, Honorable Speaker. And he used the African languages, Honorable Speaker, and he has motivated and encouraged very many other African writers to write in their mother tongue, Honorable Speaker, and this is something that we pay great tribute to for him, not just his contributions in the academia, Honorable Speaker, but also as a political thinker and shaping the thinking of many African children, African students, and many other indigenous communities around the world as he taught in many universities around the world, Honorable Speaker. I therefore pay tribute to this great son of Kenya, an old boy of my school, the Alliance High School, and also a great son of the county of Kiambu and my neighboring constituency, Limuru, Honorable Speaker. And how I wish, Honorable Speaker, that Kameredo, because the Member of Parliament for Limuru is here, they would consider the cultural theater that was at Kameredo being further developed into a cultural center for Kiambu County, for our country.
Time up. Otienda Molo. Honorable members, the screen is full. I found it full, so it can't have been for this. So those who will speak, I'll just request a show of hands. When every time one member finishes, then you do so. Otienda Molo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity to eulogize the late Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Ngugi wa Thiong'o demonstrates defiance, first in terms of name. He had the courage to drop what was called his Christian name. Secondly, the idea of writing in vernacular, which at the time many people frowned upon. Mr. Speaker, Ngugi wa Thiong'o shaped the literary thinking of virtually every other person living right now, including those who are older than him, but definitely those who are younger than him. And many of us have become what we are because we started reading Ngugi wa Thiong'o from primary school. Ngugi, unfortunately, remains one of those whose intellect may not have been shared in his later life because of political intolerance. And there's a long list of his contemporaries who had to flee the country at the time, including the late Professor Ali Mazrui, including those who are living even now, like Professor Shadrach Guto in South Africa, and many others. I think in his life is a lesson that we must have some level of political tolerance, even of those with whom we do not agree. Because a lot of times, we then have them benefit others. These are giants who ended up benefit others in other countries. Mr. Speaker, even though Ngugi wa Thiong'o may not have won the Nobel Peace Prize, Ngugi wa Thiong'o remains a towering giant in East Africa, in Africa, and in the world, like no other. Mr. Speaker, I think that what we should do is to name something serious in this country in honor of Ngugi wa Thiong'o, not just to name everything after politicians. This is somebody who deserves to be remembered.
Up. Omboko Milemba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also take this time to eulogize Ngugi wa Thiong'o, who was a great writer who influenced many of the readers of the time and the children. And as young people would compete on how many books of Ngugi and other writers you would have read during that particular time. But I think what I find quite strong about Ngugi was that he had to compete with very good writers from West Africa, because in that particular time of the 80s and 70s, the West African writers were doing very well, the likes of Chinua Achebe, the likes of Lechi Amadi with the Concubine, and Aldo and others. But Ngugi came out very strongly from the East African region to also compete very competitively with the West African writers, and he was a celebrity for the East African people. And therefore, I think this was one of the greatest. But one other thing I find very strong about him was the fact that he wrote about class struggles at a time when nobody wanted to tolerate the politics of class struggle, which remains with us today. And partly that's why he was imprisoned and then fled the country to go out.
That is in the Petals of Blood.
Petals of Blood. Thank you. You are a master. Thank you. In the Petals of Blood, he tries to bring out that very confidently. And I think we should have more tolerance in our times to literal word and those who are writing. So when I see a place like the Shackles of Blood get trouble, I just blame those who are invading the space of academics who and are not teachers. If we allow teachers to do these things without much of the competition and blocking, would really improve our literal world. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Rachel Nyamai.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to eulogize our son, the son of the world, a linguist, a creative, and a gift to this country. Honorable Speaker, I would like to go direct to the family that the Honorable Ngugi wa Thiong'o has left for us. I could not move my eyes from the screen, Honorable Speaker, watching the children of Ngugi wa Thiong'o. He has left us children who are grounded, children that he must have taught and given the right way to follow. Mr. Speaker, I think this is a lesson that we need to pick as a house, that we need to know that no matter how busy we are, no matter how many parts of the world we go to, at the end of the day, it's family. Honorable Speaker, about patriotism, Honorable Speaker, he traveled to so many parts of the world and he was not happy with the situation at home at times. But he remained patriotic to our country, making sure that he wrote books that showed love for this country. Honorable Speaker, I would like to also point out that we have so much to learn from him. And I would like to thank you very much for your communication or the statement you made on that day, that we did not see his face in all our dailies, Honorable Speaker. And we need to urge our media houses to be more patriotic and to love Kenyans like the late Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Honorable Speaker, I would like also to ask the House that the children that Ngugi wa Thiong'o has left for us has shown us that we need to rethink, Mr. Speaker, about family planning, Honorable Speaker. We needed human power together with the land we have. And this is a debate that I think we must have one day, to think of whether we should have been encouraged by our colonialists to have only 2 children.
Thank you, Morugara.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me also join the rest of the House and Kenyans in eulogizing one great man of the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I commend you that on the day after he passed on, you actually took time to inform the media that instead of writing headlines of non-issues, we should have had a headline with the late Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o as the one to be remembered. Actually, the following day it happened, and that was extremely good because Kenyans were able to recollect the lives and times of the late Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o. It's always important to remember when he left the school, the Alliance High School, went to Makerere University for his studies that time, where he met the late Mwai Kibaki, who was supposed to be his lecturer. But instead, Kibaki advised him to do literature or Bachelor of Arts in English, as it was called that time, because he was not very good in economics, but he was extremely good in literature, in writing the written word, and he had the power of the gab. What we encourage our learners today, and especially those who are in school, it's not just to read the works of the late Ngugi wa Thiong'o, but to take a cue from him. Take time to learn writing skills so that after Ngugi wa Thiong'o, we are able to produce many more Ngugi wa Thiong'os who will tower Africa in the likes of Chinua Achembe and the rest in writing. Therefore, today, we eulogize a great man of the Republic of Kenya, the late Ngugi wa Thiong'o, and may his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you very much.
Mele Odhiambo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on my behalf and on behalf of the people of Suba North, we bring our message of condolences to the family of Ngugi wa Thiong'o and even to Kenya as a whole, because this is a loss to Kenya as a country. Mr. Speaker, when I was a young girl, I used to work at my uncle's bookshop. And even though I was very young, I would still struggle to read the difficult English. So just like you, I think I probably read all of them, even though I didn't understand many of them. But Mr. Speaker, one of the things that stood out for me is that I want to comment about is the River Between. And Mr. Speaker, you look at the River Between, you look at the influence of the British colonization through the eyes of Muthoni. Mr. Speaker, I want to specifically single out the way he dealt with the issue of feminism. Majority of the characters in that book are women that he exalts, and he shows them as fighting tyranny and exploitation. Mr. Speaker, he sees women as victims of African society and patriarchal system. And to liberate themselves, they endeavored to shatter the patriarchal obstacles and bring about change. Mr. Speaker, I would want to say that he was way ahead of time. There are some of the issues that we are now talking about, and we are giving name to, for instance, intersectionality. But he already dealt with issues that converge and bring women down, like the intersectionality of gender, race, and even ethnicity. And so, with those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for giving me this
Member
opportunity.
for Limuru.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me a chance to eulogize one of our own, Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o. As I stand, Honorable Speaker, I speak of a man who I knew for the longest time in my life. I witnessed him writing the books, some of them that people have mentioned, but I have also witnessed a journey for him when he was being persecuted. I was there delivering a book written by Steve Biko to him in detention. I was at the University of Nairobi when you were told to remove all his books after detention, and I saw him off the first time he led out of this country. But Honorable Speaker, this is one person who was very good for the rest of the world, but it looks like there was a plan to make sure that Ngugi will never have a peace in his own country. We know that he was denied to teach at the University of Nairobi. He was not allowed to go back to Kameredo to continue with his theater works. And above all, the system that didn't want him to be in Nairobi, didn't want him to be in Kenya, continued to persecute even the family to a point where Ngugi had to part a lot with the rest of the family. And as we now said, say goodbye to him, Honorable Speaker, my prayer is that the children of Ngugi will have peace, can come back to this country and contribute. And for all of us to make sure that Ngugi will not be forgotten for what he did to this country. May his soul.
Julia Sunguli.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to join everybody else in eulogizing Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o. He was definitely a literary giant in the 70s, and that is why the UK newspaper said about him when he was about 33 years that he is accepted as one of Africa's outstanding contemporary writers. His best books, Mr. Speaker, were the books that he wrote under the name of James Ngugi. The book of The River Between, A Grain of Wheat, and Weep Not Child. That is actually why the 70s would remember Ngugi. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, something happened to Ngugi later on. When the world was embracing him, he seems to have retreated from the world. First, he retreated from Christianity. He changed his name, James. He returned his baptismal card and retreated away from Christianity. Then, Mr. Speaker, he retreated from the English language, the one that had made him a giant, and started writing in Kikuyu and having characters only within the Kikuyu language and Kikuyu culture. That actually is perhaps one of the reasons why the people who went to school after the 70s do not remember Ngugi as much as you and I do. Mr. Speaker, he withdrew, of course, when he was detained by Jomo Kenyatta, he must have suffered a lot. President Moi released him as soon as he became president, and he immigrated into the West. But this does not take away from the fact that, Mr. Speaker, at one time, Ngugi was a prolific writer, an artist, a novelist we shall always remember, and we shall place his name in the records of history. I thank you.
Yes, Honorable Bayer.
Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you and wish to eulogize Ngugi wa Thiong'o. You know, Honorable Speaker, I'm a student of literature and having taught literature at different levels. But Honorable Speaker, I want to say that the late Ngugi wa Thiong'o will remember him for the African Writers Series as a pioneer of that book, that level of books, where many Africans got an opportunity not just to write, but to write and publish, where the African Writers Series was published then as one of the biggest publishing houses, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, secondly, I remember Ngugi wa Thiong'o for his book, Decolonizing the Mind, one of the greatest works of literature that he ever wrote. It is a series of papers that he put together, Honorable Speaker, and it is in Decolonizing the Mind, Honorable Speaker, that we find Ngugi in his true sense. Honorable Speaker, one of his great books that people never talk about is The Devil on the Cross. The Devil on the Cross was one of Ngugi's greatest book. Actually, it is The Devil on the Cross that runs crosshairs with Daniel Arap Moi then when he was president, Honorable Speaker. Although Devil on the Cross is one of the greatest satires that Ngugi wa Thiong'o has ever written. A book that when you read, you get the revolutionary spirit in the writer. You get Ngugi wa Thiong'o, the person who fights for justice, who fights for land rights, a writer who stood up for the common mwananchi in this country. Ngugi wa Thiong'o will go down in history as one of the liberators of Africa, and that is why he could not agree with many presidents, and that's why he could not find space in Africa and chose to live in the United States. Honorable Speaker, we have lost a great man, a literary giant, somebody that was respected not just in the continent of Africa, but in Europe and above and beyond, Honorable Speaker. I thank you, and may God...
The Honorable Irene Mayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to pay tribute to a very distinguished son of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, as had been said before, Ngugi wa Thiong'o was initially called James Thiong'o, and he decided to change his name and drop the English name so that he pays tribute to being an African. But Honorable Speaker, one of the things that I remember about Ngugi wa Thiong'o was a famous quote from one of his books that he used to say, to speak one's language is to celebrate one's identity. And he also said, but to impose a language is a way to divide people, and it is a practice of tribalism of another kind. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, the Ngugi wa Thiong'o was one of the very famous Kenyans who really spoke against tribalism. But the other thing, Honorable Speaker, that we also celebrate Ngugi wa Thiong'o for is in terms of receiving honors, he is one of the most decorated writers in Africa. He received a total of 38 documented awards, one of them being the UNESCO Award for Weep Not Child. But also between the year 2006 and 2007, through one of his books, The Wizard of Oz, Ngugi wa Thiong'o received a total of 6 international awards. That was really something that was exceptional. And Honorable Speaker, the same way that we normally say that we are going to benchmark with other people on the good practices and the good things that we do in Kenya, Ngugi wa Thiong'o is one of those people that we also really know that the rest of the world would want to also emulate and be like him. And I just want to tell especially the people who are here and the people who are listening to us who love soccer, that a team like Arsenal should now emulate Ngugi wa Thiong'o in terms of doing
The Honourable Member for Seme, Honourable Nyikar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. May I take this opportunity also eulogize the passing on of our great writer Ngugi wa Thiong'o. His life, Madam Speaker, epitomizes the philosophical basis of life, the idealism that is associated with scholarship, the ability to actually strive and go against all odds to fight for ideal. Madam Speaker, this is what really distinguishes human beings from animals. Animals don't fight for ideals, but human beings fight for ideals, and sometimes they suffer like he suffered. They have to make sometimes very grave decisions at great risk to their lives because there is something they stand for, something they believe will make a difference in the life of the people and in the society. And this, he took his ability in writing to actually express this, agreed to fight with the system that be, to express what he wanted. So really, these really are the people who show to us the roles of universities. Universities are actually to be skills, not just the practicalities of life that take time for most of us. So losing a person like him is a great loss to this country. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity.
The Honorable Member for Marsabit, Honorable Naomi Wako.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice to this very important debate that is going on as we eulogize the great man of this land, someone maybe many of us may not have met physically, but we have interacted with his books and known him. I remember when we were in high school, one of his books, The River Between, was like a must for all of us to read. We interacted with him through his writings. He has inspired many of us, and I want to send my condolences to him, to his family members, to relatives, and all his loved ones on my own behalf and on behalf of the great people of Marsabit, because I know many scholars from our place, many professionals have also gone through his books just as I did. Honorable Speaker, it is not just enough for us to eulogize a great man like him, somebody who has always represented us in a good way, somebody who is internationally celebrated. We should also see how best we can extend our blessings to his family and also see as a nation how he can be celebrated, maybe as the relatives prepare for his burial. Honorable Speaker, we have great men and women who have served this country in different capacity and represented us. And it will only be good for us to appreciate them and also recognize them as heroes. I believe he's one of our heroes and he should be recognized in that capacity even though he has left us. May his soul rest in peace and may God comfort his family. Thank you.
Honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence of the following school. Seated in the Speaker's Gallery is Moon Kopir Girls Secondary School from Kajiado East Constituency, Kajiado County. And also seated in the Public Gallery is St. Mary's Nyabururu School from Kitutu Chache South Constituency, Kisii County. And I'll ask Honorable Donya Doris to welcome the schools on our behalf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. That is my school. I schooled there in class 2 and class 3, St. Mary's Nyabururu, but I can't say the year because you might suspect how old I am. Madam Speaker, as parents and of course members of parliament, we must have nice things to tell our girls. It's only that, oh, you girls, you should be smiling because I schooled in your school. Work hard, it has been the norm. Be humble, be kind, polite as your mama county. I've never even slaughtered a chicken, Madam Speaker. Education is what no one will ever take away from you. They can take your land, they take everything. Our children, I can also pass over the message to our girls, but something that no one will ever take away from you is your education. Value your education, respect your teachers, and you have to be good girls, not a bad girl like Honorable Millie Odhiambo. Very, 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 because she has confirmed that. She has told me, Donya, tell them they must be good girls like you, Honorable Donya, and not bad girls like Honorable Millie. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Tigania West, Honorable John Mutunga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to join my colleagues in eulogizing the family of late Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Honorable Speaker, Ngugi wa Thiong'o emerged as a self-made man, an African who has really found a space in this world. He satirized the political and the social intolerance that used to be there at that particular point in time. Honorable Speaker, Ngugi wa Thiong'o is among the very few who have taken Africa where it should be, who have left a mark in terms of writing. And he challenges all of us, Honorable Speaker, to do something about what we do. There are very many things that we do, but we rarely document. And not just documenting, we also rarely challenge our young people to be able to think about their surroundings, think about the situations that they are in at one given time, and see how they can develop out of such situations. Honorable Speaker, Ngugi wa Thiong'o died in exile after he ran away as a result of having been followed or being reprimanded by the then regimes that used to be there. This is one person we should celebrate as a country because he has put East Africa on the map. And Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Honorable Speaker, is not only a naturalist, he's a nationalist, he's an internationalist because his books are read across the world. The time we were in school, we used to read his books, and they used to influence us as young thinkers and young planners in this country. So, Honorable Speaker, Ngugi wa Thiong'o will be remembered by many generations to come. And having interacted with them, it is high time we also got challenged by what he did. I pass my condolences to the family. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Elders, Honorable Kainan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o was an academic giant, a philosopher, a thinker who has encouraged Pan-Africanism, who has fought colonialism, who has also tried to reduce the influence of new colonial ideas. And Mr. Speaker, we as Africans, and in particular in the academic world, there are people who are called, academicians who are called social fools. But Ngugi wa Thiong'o was a true academician, a person who professed, who believed in the academic world, combined literature with culture. Madam Speaker, combined literature with the inherent and rich African culture, Madam Speaker, and truly he will always be remembered as a person who has not only promoted the African literature, the African culture, Pan-Africanism, but also promoted the presence of the African people, the African continent, Madam Speaker, in the global world. Madam Speaker, he will always be remembered as a person truly who has believed in democracy, who has believed in the ideals of the Kenyan people, Madam Speaker. And I know for many who have truly believed in his literature, he has left a legacy. That legacy will be found in his many books. That legacy will be found in his many lectures. That legacy will be found in many interactions that he has had. And therefore, truly will remember you. And may God, wherever you are, rest your soul in eternal peace. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Tinderet.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to eulogize Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o, who was a great African literary writer. In his works, Madam Speaker, Ngugi wa Thiong'o showed how one can communicate language, culture, and traditionalism through the writings of African art of works. Ngugi wa Thiong'o, through his book, The Hermit, actually showed how African traditional way of life could meet with modernity. And this was a way where they were now able to explain the issues of colonialism, the issues of racism, and how the Europeans came over and colonized the Africans through his book, Decolonizing the Mind. One of the things that Ngugi wa Thiong'o actually taught, and I think this should be actually emphasized more even up to today, is that we need to have a lot of respect for our cultures, our traditions, and our language. Today, if you go to the United Nations, the media of communications is actually English, Arabic, French, and other languages. African languages across have not actually been recognized. And I want to say this, that it is important as Africa to know that our languages, our traditions, and even the ways in which we do our work should actually be ingrained even in our school setup. And thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I apologize and say we have lost a great literary giant. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Bondo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, if we valued exactly what Professor was, or what he has been since his works, if we value that and we relate it to the kind of exports that we've done as a country, I want to believe that the value of Ngugi's works and what Ngugi has made in terms of people are basically incomparable. We've contributed immensely. He contributed immensely to the world. He contributed immensely to the rest of, when you look at the amount of works Ngugi was able to do in 1 decade, if you want to know how a great a person is, look at that versus what we are having now in a situation where virtually nobody is doing the kind of things that Ngugi was able to do in the 70s and in the beginning of the 80s. So, Madam Speaker, Ngugi has created people. Ngugi has made people to be what they are. And this is the time that we, as a country, we really need to recognize that, no, people are mortal, but what needs to remain is the works. So to us, Ngugi's works remain as eternal, and we're going to be indebted to Ngugi for a much more longer period of time. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Dagoretti, Honorable KJ.
Madam Speaker, I thank you. Ngugi wa Thiong'o was a patriot, and it is for that reason that I, on behalf of my family, the people of Dagoretti South constituency, and even the thespians, artists, and performers of this country, I pass my condolences to the family of this great Kenyan. Madam Speaker, two great artists, Tony Njogona and Walter Mung'are, can bear me witness that we as very young artists were truly inspired by the works of Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Ngugi wa Thiong'o, being a thespian and a critic, taught us that there's a very big difference between insults and satire. That even with his very hard-hitting literature, and even with his very stinging critique, he never once bowed down to the temptation of being an insulter, or being toxic, or even being offensive. He knew that there was great power in satire that is not insulting. Madam Speaker, today, in the era of content creation, there is much to learn from the generation of creators and authors like Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Those who are creating content today must learn that intellect has way more power than the toxicity and malice that is being trended left, right, and center. Finally, Madam Speaker, the two causes that Ngugi wa Thiong'o was championing, one on decolonization and the other on the promotion of culture, it will be a great honor for us to honor Ngugi, because we did not honor him enough in his life, to honor him by preserving the great works that he has done using the new technology that allows us to feed in our languages to speak to the new revolution that is the fourth industry.
Give him a minute to just finish.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. There is a great opportunity for us with the new and emerging technologies to onboard all this knowledge that is cultural, traditional, and has great African heritage onto the new industrial revolution, and especially in AI, where we must ask ourselves, what language will these technologies be speaking? And if they are not speaking our language, then we shall be doing the likes of Ngugi wa Thiong'o a great disfavor. So, Honorable Speaker, I would like for us to honor this great Kenyan by making sure that we do not treat his memory the way we treated him in his life. I thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and we honor a great Kenyan.
Just wait. Hello, the Honorable Member for Westlands, Honorable Timothy Wanyonyi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me a chance also to eulogize Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Madam Speaker, I must also confess I've read his books, and reading his books, you could just start even imagining yourself in a situation, because you read the book, it carries you along. And Madam Speaker, is one of the greatest brains that we have ever produced. And this country has lost big, and many, those younger generation that have not experienced the power of literally, Madam Speaker, they should look at these books. When we were in school, we used to read books about African writers series. And Ngugi wa Thiong'o was one of them, Chinua Achebe, and many Elijah Amadi, and many others, Madam Speaker. And you could read all those books, and they were readily available. We started reading books written by foreigners later in life. But at that time, Madam Speaker, we could read the African writers series. I don't know if they still exist, but that was the best thing, Madam Speaker. Ngugi wa Thiong'o was very creative, and Madam Speaker, he lived his life. He was there, and he has shown Kenyans that it is good to preserve our culture. It's good to preserve our languages. Some of our languages now are being diluted. They are even dying. Some of us are afraid to speak to our children in our own language. Madam Speaker, we must preserve our African heritage and our languages and culture all the time, learning from Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yeah, the Honorable Member for Tetu. And
thank you, Madam Speaker. I also rise to eulogize Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Madam Speaker, let me say from the onset, I knew Ngugi, and I had an opportunity to talk to him just about 5 or 6 weeks ago. And his rallying call all the time, as he spoke to me as a young leader, he told me to always remember to advocate for the small farmers and the workers. Ngugi wa Thiong'o was someone who strongly believed in social justice for the small person. And if we look at his life, we can actually see that his brilliance and monumental contributions to literature and thought are celebrated worldwide. Madam Speaker, I have a petition still doing rounds as usual in the House to request this country to bestow the highest honor to Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o. And Madam Speaker, it's sad that this man, despite having worked so hard, despite having given such a great contribution to knowledge, lived about 22 years of his life in exile, away from his home country. And it is only fair that Parliament initiates an honor for him or recommends that he be honored, and that we also look for a national institution that can at least carry his name, and also preferably one road in this country can be named Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o Road. And also the University of Nairobi, where he taught for very many years, would also propose that it can also give him at least one more honor in his honor. So, Madam Speaker, I rise to eulogize a professor and say that this is a man who deserves a little more than he has received.
the Honorable Member Mbaka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity.
We are way past our time.
Yes, thank you for giving me this opportunity to eulogize Professor Ngugi. Professor was my lecturer at Nairobi University. I took literature, and him and Okotbi Tech, Michere Mugo were our lecturers who we really, really admired because of the depth of knowledge, their artistic world, and the way they mirrored the world through their works. Professor Ngugi was a politician, much as he was a great writer. His works shows you how a politician he was. He talked about poor governance. He wanted to promote the rights of human beings. And he also challenged the coming of the white man. In his River Between, there's a statement where a character is saying, "There shall come a people with clothes like butterflies." Those are the white people who came to colonize us. And Ngugi wa Thiong'o talked a lot about the effect of colonialism on the African culture,
how our culture was changing because the Europeans came and took away our culture. He loved to call us by our own African names. And he kept on calling me Achieng, Achieng, Achieng every time. He told me, drop the name Christine. You must be called Achieng. That is how I remember him. I became a teacher and I taught The River Between, which was a very inspiring novel, and many students love it and pass their exams very, very well because it was easy to read. It was very, very inspiring. It was teaching us a lot about the coming of the white man and the clash between the two cultures. He will be remembered for so many of these texts that were introduced.
Right, honorable members, I think we are even exceeded our time by 15 minutes. I'll now let us move back to the order paper. And we had gone up to order number 13, but had not gone to statements. We had skipped order number 7, statements. So I think we can now go back. Read the next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Is that the one that is was requested to the Committee on Agriculture and Livestock? Yes. I thought I saw Honorable Mutunga. He's not here. Okay. Yes, the Honorable Dr. Edwin Mugo, member for Maithioya, was the one who was requesting. I thought it was a response. Okay. Proceed.
Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 44.2c, I rise to request for a statement from the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock, on implementation of Guarantee Minimum Returns, GMR, to support coffee, tea, milk, and macadamia farmers. Honorable Speaker, whereas agriculture remains the backbone of Kenya's economy and a key driver of employment and exports, its sustainability and the well-being of farmers are increasingly being threatened by high input costs, climate risks, and global economic uncertainties. The rising costs of essential farm inputs, including seeds, herbicides, pesticides, fertilizer, animal feeds, fuel, labor, and farm machinery, have significantly increased the financial burden on farmers. Further, adverse climate change on rain-fed agriculture, volatility in international commodity markets due to global conflicts, including the Russia-Ukraine war and supply chain disruptions, have also impacted on the returns for farmers. Honorable Speaker, on 5th August 2023, the government committed to implement a Guarantee Minimum Returns GMR program aimed at providing direct financial support to farmers and stabilize their incomes amid market fluctuations. A key pillar of the bottom economic transformation agenda, BETTER, the GMR prioritizes production, subsidies, and direct support to farmers over consumption subsidies, cautioning farmers from unpredictable market fluctuations and complementing the existing market pricing mechanisms, enabling more stable and predictable incomes. Full implementation of the GMR program is expected to protect farmers' incomes and prevent artificial price distortions, enhance food security, boost rural incomes, and drive economic development in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Department Committee on Agriculture and Livestock on the following. Measures being taken by the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock to ensure that farmers are cautioned from climate-related losses, price fluctuations, volatility in the international market and trade environment. Interstate conflicts such as the Russia-Ukraine war, supply chain disruptions, and the recent trade tariffs imposed by the United States. 2, efforts being made by the ministry to introduce a price support mechanism for coffee, tea, milk, and macadamia farmers to boost their incomes and ensure sustainable livelihoods. 3, action being taken by the ministry to ensure equality in the distribution of subsidized fertilizer and ensure that the distribution is informed by the region's soil quality and topography types in different regions of the country. And finally, 4, report on status of implementation of the Guarantee Minimum Returns Program on the GMR Guarantee Minimum Returns Program. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Okay, the chairperson for Agriculture and Livestock, when will you give a response? Any member of the committee here? Okay, Majority Leader, Deputy Majority Leader. Can give an undertaking on behalf of the Agriculture Committee.
I thought I saw Honorable Mutunga here.
Yes, he was here, but
All right,
he seems to
probably
have stepped out.
we could do 2 weeks, Honorable Speaker, on the same. I'll let them know. Thank you.
Thank you. Next statement by the Honorable Mary Maingi, member from where?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 44.2c, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock regarding the status of rice importation into this country. Honorable Speaker, on 26th of May this year, it was reported that rice farmers in Mwea constituency, Kirinyaga County, are likely to suffer a loss of more than $500 million if the government fails to intervene and purchase 5,000 metric tons of grain from their stores, despite being full of grain sufficient for the country's consumption. It was reported that the situation has been occasioned by the government's action of importing rice, which has flooded the markets to the disadvantage of the local farmers. Honorable Speaker, a study conducted by the Sustainable Trade Initiative on Mwea rice growers' multipurpose in 2020 reported that about 80% of rice grown in Kenya is from irrigation schemes established by the government, among them being the Mwea irrigation scheme, which accounted for more than 70% of the produce. Failure by the government to purchase, Mwea irrigation scheme, which accounted for more than 70% of the produce. Failure by the government to purchase rice from the local farmers is likely to occasion a delay in planting for the next season, which is likely to delay or affect rice production in the next period. This is against the government's agenda of reducing over-reliance on the importation of products and encouraging local production. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock on the following. 1, the total quantity of rice that the government has imported in the last financial year. 2, why the government is reluctant to buy rice from the local farmers and has chosen to import the commodity despite having sufficient locally produced rice. 3, the total annual production of rice in the last financial year compared to the local annual consumption projections. 4, measures being taken by the government to ensure that a larger percentage of rice produced locally is purchased by the government to reduce over-reliance on imported rice. And 5, the steps being taken to cushion rice farmers in the country from likely unfair market competition that could arise from oversaturation of the market by imported rice. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Again, that's also for the chairperson, Agriculture and Livestock. He's still not here. So, Deputy Majority Leader.
I'll inform them, Honorable Speaker, we bring a statement in the next 2 weeks, Honorable Speaker. Much obliged.
Thank you. I think the next statement is by the Honorable Mishi Mboko, member for Likoni.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to provision of Standing Order number 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Department Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding the status of upgrade of the Likoni Ferry Channel. Honorable Speaker, more than 300,000 people use the Likoni Channel on a daily basis, which links Mombasa Island to Kwale County in the South Coast. In 2020, the government commenced construction of the Mtongwe ramp with a view of decongesting the Likoni Channel. Sadly, the construction is yet to be completed, worsening the congestion at the Likoni Channel. In addition, the ferries in the Likoni Channel keep developing mechanical failures. For instance, on 25th April 2025, a ferry developed mechanical failure and stalled while on transit, causing fear amongst the passengers. On 17th April 2025, the Kenya Ferry Services only had 2 ferries in operation following a breakdown of 2 other ferries. This caused congestion in the area and adversely affected the residents. The incidents raised concern on the suitability of the vessel and the need for urgent attention to ensure the safety and security of the resident and prevent such occurrences in the future. Honorable Speaker, it is against this backdrop that I request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure on the following. 1, measures put in place by the government to ensure safety and efficiency of ferry services, including an update on the status of maintenance and procurement plans for new ferries and upgrade of the existing vessels. 2, status of the construction of Mtongwe ramp in Likoni constituency. And 3, long-term strategies being put in place to provide sustainable and reliable maritime transport solution for residents of Mombasa County and businesses dependent on ferry services. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chairperson for the Committee on Transport and Infrastructure, not present. What about any member of the committee who can give an undertaking on behalf of the committee? All right, again, that's left to you, Deputy Majority Leader.
All right, Speaker, I will inform GK, the MP Fundia, the chairperson, so that he can bring a response in 2 weeks. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Okay, before we go to your statement, Honorable Mboko, allow me to recognize the presence of Limek Namuntak Girls School from Narok West Constituency, Narok County. And also seated in the public gallery is Chepwotuyet Secondary School from Chebalungu constituency, Bomet County. Now I'll call upon the Honorable Member Mandazi, member for Chebalungu, to welcome the students on our behalf.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. May I take this opportunity to welcome all the schools that have come to visit Parliament today, and especially the school that is from my constituency, that is Chebostuyet Secondary School. I want to confirm that the students from Chebostuyet Secondary School, Madam Speaker, are very disciplined and hardworking students. I welcome them here in Parliament so that they can witness what we normally come and do, that is legislate and to represent the issues from various constituencies within our country. This is the place to be. This is the place that you should work hard and desire to be in the future. I wish you well, and equally, Madam Speaker, allow me to wish all of them that are going to sit for their exams at the end of the year success in their exams. Thank you so much, Speaker, and they feel welcome to the presence of Parliament. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Omboko, your statement, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Pursuant to Standing Order number 44-2C, I rise to request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security regarding the tragic fire tragedy in Makina area, Kibera, in Nairobi City, County. Honorable Speaker, on the night of 24th May 2025, a devastating fire tragedy occurred in Makina area, Kibera, in Nairobi City, County. The deadly fire swept through the informal settlement, destroying property, rendering several people homeless and claiming lives of 8 people, 7 of whom hail from the Muhaya constituency in Vihiga County. Among the deceased, Honorable Speaker, were 5 members of the same family from a Sirulo village, being a Mr. Ernest Ambani, 36 years, his wife Flora Ambani, 33 years, and their children Gertrude Amisi, 9 years, Silas Omboko, my namesake, 3 years, and Stephen Mukuna, 2 years. Additionally, Honorable Speaker, a Mr. Harrison Liaha, 24 years old, perished in the inferno together with his pregnant sister, 18 years. A Miss Yvonne Okwoku also perished and, no, let me take that again. Miss Yvonne Okwoku, also Miss Charity Eboso, wife to Mr. Harrison Liaha, who perished in the tragedy, is currently hospitalized in a critical conditions, along with their one child who was miraculously saved from the inferno. Honorable Speaker, the cause of the devastating Makina fire tragedy remains unknown to date. Adding to previous fire tragedies that have occurred in informal settlements, particularly in Nairobi, distressfully, fires in the informal settlements have become alarmingly frequent, often exposing the fragility of our urban disaster preparedness and response, calling for elaborate interventions. Honorable Speaker, it's against this background that I request the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security to appraise the House on the following. Number 1, a comprehensive report on the cause of the fire incident in Makina area, Kibera, including the details of the affected people and the findings on the systematic failures of the recurrent fire tragedies in the informal settlements. Number 2, the support, if any, extended to the ministry to the survivors of the tragedy, including provisions of shelter, food, clothing, emergency treatment, and trauma counseling, including sending off of their beloved ones. Number 3, the steps being taken by the ministry to expedite the release of DNA results for the victims of the fire tragedy so as to spare the families of the deceased from prolonged emotional distress and enable them lay the deceased kins to rest. And finally, Honorable Speaker, the measures that the ministry intends to put in place to prevent similar tragedies in the informal settlements in future, particularly in terms of safety, community awareness, disaster response, and urban planning. Honorable Speaker, the families have been living here for the last more than 3 weeks, Honorable Speaker. The government chemists do indicate that they need 30 days to give the DNA test, meaning they'll have to stay here for a whole 1 month before they rest their beloved ones to rest. And it's upon that that I really wish that we treat this as an urgent matter. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I think I'll exercise my discretion and give a chance to the member for Kibra to buttress that statement, since it's your constituency.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to agree with my colleague, Honorable Milemba. The fire actually occurred in my constituency, just as he has said. I want to agree totally to the sentiments of my colleague. It has been very, very the families affected and those who also live in informal settlement. The fires have been occurring almost every 2 weeks, but this one was one of its kind because people died beyond recognition. when you have 9 people dying beyond recognition, it is not a small matter. Now, this has been happening in this country for a long time, especially in Nairobi in informal sector. We have talked about this. We have also asked the government and the county government to give us a place where we can have a fire station. We have asked the governor to give us fire stations so that when this happens, we have instant response from a fire station. However, we had asked the government to help the victims, and I must say that the government also responded well and brought some food to the victim. But this can never help or fill the gap, emotional gap, that has been experienced by this group of people. However, the president came when he was asked to visit these victims. He went and visited the victims and gave a full support to the victims. However, we must have a lasting solution to the fire outbreaks in this informal settlement. We are asking that we need to get to the root bottom of the causes of fire every time. And the investigating agencies must do this with speed, because the families concerned, like my colleague has said, have been here for a very long time. We also need to have the DNA test. It must be hastened. They must carry out DNA tests so that these families can be taken home after a very short while. Otherwise, I sympathize with the families, the affected families, and we ask that the government must take serious action. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What's the quick point, Deputy?
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. You know, I had the Honorable Teacher, Omboko Milemba, say that they perished and they're recuperating in hospital. So how does somebody who has perished really be in hospital recovery?
Those who perished and those who...
I found that a very interesting statement. I don't know whether it's because he needs to buy specs. You know,
Honorable Owen Bayer, order. Why do you need to write on a point of order when the chair is protecting you? Okay, what's your point of order?
Thank you for protecting me. And I'm really surprised at the leader of business in this house prejudicing with casualty and casualness the death of a family member that lost 5 people, a father, mother, 3 children. Another one that lost 2 people, only 1 and a child are in hospital. And just laughing about it. I think you should apologize for this, and to Kenyans and the people of Emuhaya,
yes,
and those families that do suffer from such a tragedy.
Order, Honorable Mboko. I thought all that the Honorable Owenbai was saying, he needs order, he needs clarity. Order, Honorable Mboko Milemba. You are a member of the Speaker's panel, and when you're told by the Speaker order, you stay in order. The impression I had is that all that Owen was seeking, order. All that Owen was seeking is clarification on how many perished and how many are recuperating. Am I right? Yes. Is that all that you're saying? And Honorable Mboko has already has given that those figures. Yes, Honorable Olwoch.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and allow me to ride on and make a a comment as well. Mathare constituency, just like Kibra, had been affected within, I think, a span of 2 weeks. And also on behalf of my colleague, the member for Kamkunji, the House will remember also that there have been frequent fires in Kikomba. Honorable Speaker, these issues touch on criminality, and so as the chair is going to respond to this statement, if you look at the common nexus between these fires, the one that persists in Toi, the one that persists in Kikomba, 1 month hardly passes without these fires. There is a question of criminality that possibly touches on the land ownership issues. And so for us to be able to deal with these things conclusively once and for all, one of the suggestions that has been there.
Honorable Mamose, allow Honorable Thiong'o to hear what? He is the chair of Provincial Administration and Security. So let him listen. Have you heard what the Honorable Oluoch has said? Please listen. Repeat what you had said.
And Honorable Speaker, what I'm saying is that there is an element of criminality. These things are not mere coincidental fires that take place. There are people, a cartel, a cabal of people who feel that they can be able to forcefully circumvent an appropriate public land where ordinary traders carry out business by frustrating them with ordinary fires. And one of the things, other than looking at the culprits, is for this committee to consider compulsorily acquiring those lands and making them either in the name of the county or the national government, and then allow the traders there to build a modern market. That applies to Toi, that applies to Kikomba market. This is an issue then that the security must take in seriously, as well as the Committee on Lands. Having said that, I want to thank the government, because when we lost 6 people, and these 6 people died also beyond recognition, this morning alone, we have paid money for DNA and money for mortuary for people who completely got burnt out. These things, again, turn on criminality. And there is an element in which the DCI must check how a fire begins lit by petrol in a place where, one, there is no fire engine, there is no opportunity to save people, and people continue to needlessly lose their life. But I want to thank government. Our Honorable Member Ruku, who recently was appointed, came to the constituency and we got help. His Excellency, the President, did the same. And also the PS for Internal Security, PS Omolo, we thank. But the committee must expedite and look at the elements of criminality and the questions of titling and compulsory acquisition of these lands. I thank you.
Okay, the Honorable Owen Bayer.
That's a statement. Honorable Speaker.
Did you rise on? Yeah. What exactly are you? What's your point of your order about?
No, I want to say this, Honorable Speaker. The issues of fire in Nairobi are just too many. And I think the County of Government of Nairobi, knowing that management of fires and fire brigades are devolved, we want to see the County Government of Nairobi really being proactive first to ensure we do not have these fires. And when they occur, they are there to ensure that they don't destroy. But we cannot have a perennial issue of fires in this city county. You know, this is a city county. This is the gateway to, this is Nairobi. It is everything for Kenya. But if you cannot manage, you always have fires. Who will respect this country if we cannot manage fire? So the governor of Nairobi, if you are listening, please protect your people and the property in this town by ensuring we do not have these fires all the time.
You want to enrich that question anymore? Because I want to call upon the chair to give a commitment on when he'll have the response.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi niweze pia kutoa pole zangu na rambirambi kwa watu wa Kibra na hasa viongozi ambao wameleta maneno haya ndani ya bunge. Niseme poleni sana kupoteza wapendwa wenu, na niweze kusema Mheshimiwa Spika, hili ni jambo ambalo limekuwa linarejelea mara kwa mara, na ni wakati ambapo inafaa uchunguzi ufanywe tuweze kutambua kuwa ni kina nani ambao wako nyuma ya maafa haya. Mheshimiwa Spika, haiwezekani kila wakati familia zinapoteza wapendwa wao na pengine kuna mtu nyuma, kama vile nimesikia Mheshimiwa Mbaya akisema wengine ni mambo ya mashamba na mengine. Itakuwa si sawa mali ya watu kupotea, na hata ukiangalia kule Kongowea sokoni, Mheshimiwa Spika, pia wale wanabiashara waliweza kuathirika na moto mkubwa sana ndani ya Kongowea, walipoteza mali zao na hakuna fidia ambayo walipata Mheshimiwa Spika mpaka leo. Pale Ziwa la Ng'ombe pia moto pia ulianza mkubwa ukapoteza famili nyingi, wapendwa wakawa wamepotea na hakuna hata
hata ukienda kupeleka unaomba msaada pia, manake katika ngafu tuna disaster fund. Mheshimiwa Spika, waweza ukaomba hizi pesa usaidie watu wako, hupati Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hiyo mimi naomba haya mambo yaangaliwe kwa kina. Poleni sana Mheshimiwa Kibra, Mheshimiwa ndugu yangu Mboko Milemba, poleni sana. Mwenyezi Mungu awepe subra kwa wakati huu mgumu. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Mheshimiwa Tongoyo, mwenyekiti wa kamati, utapeana ahadi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And ordinarily, I had expected members to react in the manner they are doing when after giving the response. But nevertheless, I appreciate the interest in this. Honorable Speaker, given the urgency and of this, I may need a week to respond to. But there is one item that needs a quick and urgent attention: the issue of the DNA, so that the families can able to get the opportunity to bury their loved one. And the member who did raise the statement can attest. While we are seated here, I'd already made some intervention with the government chemist to have the issue of DNA be expedited, so that at least they can able to have the bodies of their loved one buried. Then the rest, maybe we can respond in a week or so, Honorable Speaker.
In a week?
In a week. You know, the more urgent thing was this one.
No, this one you said immediately. DNA.
Yeah, we actually on it.
You're
on it. Can be even be tomorrow, can be a week. Yes.
The comprehensive response will be in a week's time. Is that
yeah, what
so?
I'm saying, Speaker, the issue of DNA may not necessarily wait until maybe we have the response for the rest of the item. That one, we already on it. We are going to see whether we can able to do it even in this week, by Friday. And we already have the undertaking by the government chemist.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh. What's your point of order?
Honorable Speaker, I have an issue that needs your attention and not related to Kibra and other fires, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, last week, our constituencies received communication from CARA officers as regards reduction of allocated funds to go towards our rural roads, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this stems from a court case that out of goodwill, this House chose to do the necessary by allowing passage of revenue allocation, Honorable Speaker, under the guise that governors through COG were going to withdraw a court case, Honorable Speaker. Even though we did what we ought to have, the governors walked back on that promise, and therefore allocation has been reduced from 42 million, Honorable Speaker, per constituency under 22% to 28 million, Honorable Speaker. This is a travesty. The allocation under 10%, Honorable Speaker, has moved from 19 million to 0, Honorable Speaker, just because the governors have reneged on a promise that they made, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it is a behavior akin to not wanting anything from this House going forward, Honorable Speaker. It is like the governors have confirmed that they don't need this House either way as regards their budgetary allocation, Honorable Speaker. So we need your guidance on this matter. Do we have to transact on goodwill, or we have to make certain provisions that will make it very difficult for anybody to walk back on a promise, Honorable Speaker? Our constituencies, even though have received that reduction, Honorable Speaker, most of the members of Parliament have advised their CARA committees not to move to reallocate or to reduce those budgetary allocations, Honorable Speaker. So how do we move on this matter? Remember, all these roles had been tendered for and awards had been given, Honorable Speaker, and there are usually very stringent conditions that underpin contracts, Honorable Speaker. So how do we as a constituency or as constituencies benefiting from these funds move forward, Honorable Speaker?
I now call upon the chair transport. Where is the chair transport? Huh? Whip. Oh yes, the chief whip. Osoro.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Go ahead.
Honorable Speaker, it's indeed true what the Honorable Jared Okello has raised as far as the RMLF funds are concerned. And the facts that culminated to us passing what the governors really wanted us to pass as part of the negotiation so that you can unlock the stalemate that had arisen from the court order that led to the freezing of the 10 billion shillings RMLF. Honorable Speaker, it's important to inform the House that that matter has really been canvassed by the House Business Committee in the previous 2 sittings. And last week, Honorable Speaker, the Right Honorable Speaker nominated a few members of Parliament, of course from this House, to the negotiating or mediation, to mediate with the Council of Governors. And at this point, I wish to report that we've really made positive strides. I don't know whether Honorable Okello is listening to me, because it's very important. Because he did ask a question, but I don't see him. Honorable Speaker, I don't know whether I should proceed. Oh, he's here. Okay, so Honorable Speaker, the judgment to that matter is coming up on Thursday at 2 p.m. What we did when we passed out of what you've said, Honorable Jared, is that what we did then is that we sought to arrest the judgment from being delivered at that point, and it was postponed to Thursday. However, today we were in court. Of course, the National Assembly and the Council of Governors, and the court directed that we proceed with the ADR. I need to confirm to this House that tomorrow we'll be meeting with the Council of Governors. Tomorrow, if of course they show up. If they don't show up to the directions that the court have been given, we still have our cards. Because it is actually wrong for governors or the Council of Governors, Honorable Speaker, to hold the entire nation at ransom. I mean, 10 billion, Honorable Speaker, is lying idle in some account. And the roads, even with these rains, Honorable Speaker, the roads are impassable. And even if we decided to give this money, Honorable Speaker, to these governors, they will not do them. They will not do them. Trust me. I am on record as having said, Honorable Speaker, that you will actually need a microscope to see what governors do across their counties, Honorable Speaker. Besides recruiting huge battalion, Honorable Speaker, for events so that they can, and Harambes, they have a group of people that move around with them in every meeting, and their work is just to cheer and clap for them, Honorable Speaker. And that is why, Honorable Speaker, they are pushing for such. By the way, it's important for this House to know.
Fair enough.
No, let me conclude, Honorable Speaker.
Please conclude.
It is actually the same governors, Honorable Speaker, that are sponsoring cases against this House, Honorable Speaker. The NDCDF case, it is Council of Governors. RMLF, it is actually Council of Governors. But we are telling them that if they think they are going to hold us at ransom, that tomorrow they will not show up for the ADR ahead of Thursday, and they won't show up. No problem. Today here on order number 12, we have a division of revenue, in the order paper, Honorable Speaker, number 12, and it's already actually rejected, Honorable Speaker. So we are going for that mediation, and we will see, because we really cannot be holding the country at ransom because of our, bloated egos and moving around in red carpets and those kind of...
Okay, fair enough. I thought you meant you can't hold the country hostage. Anyway, Honorable Kainan.
Mr. Speaker, I always support consensus. Some of us fought so hard for devolution during the countdown to the promulgation of the current constitution. Mr. Speaker, as a person who has represented a constituency that has been marginalized over the years, the devolution that I had in mind, the devolvement of resources that I had in mind, when I jealously fought for the enactment of provisions that will provide resources to the ground. And what is being seen right now, Mr. Speaker, and I'm sure you are around, you are a deputy speaker then, is completely different. Mr. Speaker, I want to go on record that I am a firm believer in devolution. I believe in devolution. I will always support devolution. But I will not support a convoluted, corruptly managed devolution, Mr. Speaker, that does not allow the trickling down of resources to the common people. Mr. Speaker, I want the Honorable Osoro to listen to this. We acted in good faith. We acted as members of the National Assembly, as members of the 13th Parliament. We acted in good faith to allow the passage of that bill and formed a dialogue committee. I am aware the Honorable Osoro, who is also the the minority whip, and my majority whip, I'm sorry to say this, and also who is a seasoned lawyer, has briefed us today in the House Business Committee. Mr. Speaker, the members are not being told the truth. The truth of the matter is this, and it's my responsibility to speak plainly, to say the truth, because I only fear God. The governors have withdrawn from that case. The court made a determination against your interest. The last chance is tomorrow morning. If the negotiating team did not deliver a favorable result on the roads, on CDF and all the other contentious issues, I shall stand here as the father of this house to reject what is contained in this order. And you know it. That's what you have alluded to. And please don't accept this order number 12. You have finished. Whatever you have done it, let me leave it there. It's not the end. It will come. So, Mr. Speaker, my conclusion is this. Nobody will be allowed to take this house for granted. And I want to remind you, read Article 1. Why did the framers of the current constitution equate representation to sovereignty? Don't allow that to go away in the thin air. Stand firm for your right. CDF must exist. That road must come back. And GAV must exist. That road money must come back for the management of the Member of Parliament. They have enough to do it, and we will not continue to entrench corruption, wastage of resources, abuse of office, and all the other evils in this broad daylight. Stand firm to be counted by your conscience.
Fair enough.
Thank you,
Fair
Mr.
enough,
Speaker.
Honorable Kainan. The only thing is that when you say that you are the father of this house, and yours truly, who was here when you were still in the university, you want to call me a grandfather? Unless you want to call me a grandfather. Okay. Yes, what's your point of point? There's when? And then I'll come to you.
Mr. Speaker, I think the question by the Honorable Jared was answered by the Honorable Osoro that there is an ADR tomorrow morning between the parties, and there is a ruling, or there is the parties, they are going to meet for a ruling on Thursday. And that is in order, Mr. Speaker. The senior Kainan has spoken about it. Am I in order, Mr. Speaker, that now we come back to the business, because there is nothing to debate more than that. Already we have been told that tomorrow there is an ADR.
Fair enough. I think enough. 1 minute only, 1 minute. And then we proceed on to the next. Yeah.
Honorable Speaker, I think we are taking these matters lightly, and therefore the governors are taking us lightly. Everyone knows in this republic, governors handle a lot of money, Honorable Speaker, and nothing happens. In my own county of Bungoma, we get about 14 billion from the exchequer, own revenue about 2 billion. That is about 16 billion. Honorable Speaker, in a county with 9 constituencies only, you can hardly see a project that goes beyond 10 million, Honorable Speaker. That must go on record. Honorable Speaker, that governors have gone behind our backs and discussed with the judiciary. And they have pulled out of negotiations with us, and that the judiciary is going to give its ruling on Thursday. Honorable Speaker, we must do something punitive to the governors. We must fire a shot to the governors. Honorable Speaker, we must not wait for governors to find us flat-footed, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, beyond this, I will urge honorable members that we need a Kamkunji tomorrow morning. We need a Kamkunji. We can no longer appropriate funds for them, first to go and loot, and then come and want more and more and more funds to loot. We cannot give them money to go and bribe their way to want to take everything from GAF, from CDF, from roads. Honorable Speaker, it is not going to be business as usual. Most of these governors are just thieves. There is nothing that they are doing with the monies that we appropriate for them. We have students who are suffering at their homes. We have schools, Honorable Speaker, that do not have anything from the counties. We are supposed to have roads. Even as we speak now, there are roads that are meant for governors to do. They are not doing these roads. They are leaving the roads for us as MPs to do them. Why are they demanding more money? So that they can continue looting? We say no, we demand a Kamkunji so that we can take a very punitive approach. Kama ni vita sisi wote ni wanasiasa na tunaweza pigana.
Thank you. We will have to go to the next. I think we have... no, it's a weighty matter. DK, what exactly do you want to say? I mean, it's already been ventilated enough.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Take no more
the
than a
fact
minute.
that I'm also in the mediation committee, we want to state categorically, power lies in this house. What we do with that power is what makes some people outside there to laugh on us. Let us exercise it this time. If at all they are not going to come for the mediation, I dare say, us as this house, we start with the division of revenue bill. And that is why they will know there are men and women in this house who can actually act as per the Constitution. And the Constitution says clearly, the legislators in this house are the only ones who can appropriate money to anybody. Thank you.
The Honorable Attendee, the chair of the Budget Committee, I had asked you initially if you...
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I had some information which I would have loved to share. But in view of the impending court ruling, I'm afraid I will not be able to share it with the members. But I just want to say that there are very, very good consultations going on involving the Ministry of Roads, involving Parliament, and even the highest office in the land. And I'm very optimistic that shortly we are going to have a solution, which is going to be helpful for members. Of course, we are determined to ensure that all the resources that are stuck are disbursed to the constituencies so that the roads projects are completed. Honorable Speaker, I just wanted to persuade members that Division of Revenue Bill is a precursor for passage of supplementary estimates. So there will be no budget before we pass the Division of Revenue Bill. So let us be tolerant. Governors are very responsive. They are cooperating with us, even as we engage. So if we threaten that we will not pass Division of Revenue Bill, it means there will be no budget in the first place. So I know these are very, very weighty matters, and they are matters that touch at the heart of most of our colleagues. But let us just embrace dialogue. I know that very soon we are going to have a solution on both of those issues. So for Division of Revenue Bill, you know that we are going for mediation. Let us approach mediation with an open heart. Let us engage our colleagues in the Senate so that we can be able to move these processes forward. Otherwise, I want to persuade members that from our last meeting towards resolving this issue, there is sufficient goodwill. And I am sure that members will be very happy shortly. Whether the court case goes against us or for us, I think we are going to have a solution.
Fair enough. Fair
Thank
enough.
you.
We will have to go back to, let's go to the substantive business here, or rather the business on the order paper. Now we are having responses on statements that were sought. And this one is on the status of the construction of Lunga Lunga Sub-County Headquarters. Honorable Katana of MP for Kaloleni, are you in the house? Is MP for Kaloleni in the house? I know Chief Ramondo is not in the house, who is Chief Ramondo, who was the person who sought this response. Now we go to the next one. What's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, last week the substantive speaker did make a directive that where a member has asked a question and has not asked for it to be deferred, and the chairman, the relevant chairman is present, he should not be asked to defer. He should just table the answer on record and proceed. He doesn't have to wait.
I think there's a communication from Honorable Chief Ramodo in this case, and in which he sought Honorable Katana